And we are live.
All right, all right. Shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High. All right. You are in another Biblical Warzone Wednesday with Yahweh's Camp. All right. All praises to the Most High. First and foremost, we definitely want to give all praises to the Heavenly Father. Right. Name is Yahweh. Right. In the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. This is Yahweh's Camp. All right. We're going to go around to the brothers that are on the panel. We'll go one by one. Shalom, brother Imak, Shalom King, and Shalom to the families and the brothers and sisters that's out here, learning this truth, sincerity, learning this word in sincerity, teaching in sincerity. Brothers got camps all over, brothers got organizations and congregations all over that's doing this work. Major, major shout out to y'all, brothers. Shout out to the sisters as well. Uh, doing their due diligence on their job as sisters in this truth, and putting in their casting their lot as well. All right. Love y'all. Yasha Allah as again, right? We're gonna do a whole breakdown on John chapter 10. All right. We're probably gonna split it up in two parts just so y'all understand what's going on. We want to take this thing very, very slow. All right. I'm gonna go around. I'll start. My name is Officer Tazayara. I'm the Young Thunder. All right. I'll pass to the next brother to introduce himself.
Shalom, this brother Yashawan Ban Yahawada.
Hey, Shalom. This is Brother Ephraim.
Hey, Shalom. This is Brother Joshua Bongad.
And that is the mighty Officer Yashuv in the corner.
Con.
All praises. All praises. Shalom to the brothers, man. The Akim on the panel. Again, shalom to the elders at Yahweh's camp, to the priest Yakanan, to Elder Zaquan, right? And of course, to our beloved fallen captain Obadiah. Again, we are going to go into an extensive breakdown. Listen, if salvation is a topic that you want to understand more on, how to get salvation, who salvation is for, a lot of our teachings, we go into the classic scriptures, the classic breakdowns, and we can always see verbatim, right? Salvation is for Israel and Israel only. However, John chapter 10 is going to be imperative, right? And a really good understanding, parabolic wise, on again, just salvation being for Israel, who the sheep are. So get your notepads and pens ready. If you're watching this video and you got sincere questions, I'm gonna say it again. If you have sincere questions that you want us to answer, we can definitely answer that through the Spirit. Sincere questions only, though. You know, scoffers will not be tolerated until after the lesson, and then if we want to open it up for a dialogue, we'll decide if it's worth it or not. All right. So again, going into salvation, going into access to the Most High, ultimately, and what it means and who salvation is for. This is very imperative. All right. So with much further ado, we're going to get into John chapter 10. Can I get two readers?
Come.
All right. All praises. All right. So we got some brothers, and again, brothers that got precepts. We're going to definitely bring those out in the Spirit. All right. All right. So let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. All praises to the Most High. I'm excited about this one, honestly. It's a lot of hidden gems a lot of times, right? Just kind of giving the background as the brother Ephraim is pulling up the chapter for the people to read along. These parables that Yahweh puts out, they all mean something. They all go back to him. Right? Or they go back to things that surrounds him or involves him, right? A lot of times you get in the Christian church where they just read it. They just read it for a good word. They get a few words here and there, and that's the sermon, right? They don't really break this thing down, right? With the Hebrew Israelites, especially with Yahweh's camp, we're going to do our best to give you the full sense of what Yahweh Shai was really saying through the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So just keep that in mind. We're here to teach our people and edify our people. Again, the church does not do that. They just read the scripture. If they do read the scripture, and pass the plate around and tell you to have a good day, right? All right, so let's get John chapter 10, verse 1. Go ahead and start from the top.
Con, this is the book of John, chapter 10, verse 1. It says, Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber.
All right, so John chapter 10, verse 1 is an anchor, right? For everything we about to see moving forward. Everything we about to see moving forward, this is our anchor, right? Or one of many anchors, right? Where Yahweh Shai takes a hard stance, because Yahweh Shai is speaking right here, right? Who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, right? He's taking a hard stance on who a thief and a robber is, right? By how they enter. All right, read it again, Josh.
Con, this the book of John, chapter 10, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber.
Right, so it says, he that entereth not by the door, right, through the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up a whole nother way, right, is a thief and a robber. Read verse 2.
Verse 2, but he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep.
Is the shepherd of the sheep, right? So these two verses right here is going to set a tone for everything moving forward, all right? Everything moving forward is established by these two verses. On the first verse, you have the one that tries to enter in some other way, and it's not by the way that he's supposed to go. He's a thief and a robber. And then verse 2, right? It shows you he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to go back to Genesis 28. All right. Let me get a second reader to get Genesis 28. And we're going to start at verse 12. All right. Genesis 28 and 12.
Book of Genesis, chapter 28, verse 12. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth.
A ladder, right? A ladder. What is a ladder used for? Right? What if I need a ladder, right? I need a ladder to do what?
Climb up.
Climb up. I need that ladder to be a sort of like a vehicle, right? To take me somewhere. Right? Ladder. I'm gonna say it again. I can't get to my destination if I don't have a ladder. So I need the ladder. So this particular dream that Jacob had is a vision of a ladder. All right. So it says, and he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth. Read on.
And the top of it reached to heaven.
The top of it reached where?
To heaven.
So the ladder is a mode of transportation for me to get from where I'm at into heaven. Read on.
And behold, the angels of God ascending and descending on it.
So you've seen the angels going up and down from earth to heaven, right? Or to the kingdom of the Most High, right? And then going right back down. That's how they're getting back and forth from earth into the kingdom of God, right? So the ladder is that thing that these angels need to go to and fro. All right, let's jump down to verse 17.
And he was afraid and said, how dreadful is this place? This is none other but the house of God.
So now we know what heaven is, right? I wanted to jump down to verse 17 to get to the point, right? The house of God, right? Or the kingdom of heaven is what we're talking about. Read on.
And this is the gate of heaven.
and this is the gate of heaven. All right. So I want to make sure we are very clear on why we're connecting these two scriptures. Can somebody get me the Hebrew word for gate? Let's get the Hebrew word for gate real quick, right? And to get into the house of God, you need some sort of access. Okay, just keep that in mind. What's that
Strong's
word?
H8179. Sha'er.
It's what?
Sha'er.
Sha'er, right? Which is what? Read the definitions.
It's a gate, entrance, gate, space inside gate, a gate of a palace, a royal castle, heaven.
In heaven, right? So but the first definition, right? The first definition is what? Entrance.
Entrance.
Right? Entrance. So understanding what an entrance is, and I think even when you go into the Strong's concordance, it'll say door, which is important, right? Because now we're talking about to get into the kingdom of heaven, you must use a yeah, there we go, right? You see that? It says door or gate. I don't know if people can see that, but the definition in the Strong says door. So to have access, right, to the kingdom of heaven, which is God's house, you must go through the door to get there. And you see our forefather Jacob in verse 17, right? I'm gonna read it again, since I got it right here. I'm gonna read it. It says, and he was afraid and said, how dreadful is this place? This is none other but the house of God. And this is the gate of heaven, or the door to get into heaven, right? You have to have that pathway or that ladder, right? That ladder. All this is going to go back to Yahushua. In some way, shape, form, or fashion, this is all going back to Yahushua. Yahushua is the access to the kingdom of heaven.
God.
Okay. I'm gonna say that, and then we're gonna prove it. To get into the kingdom of heaven, you must go through Yahushua. There's no other way, right? So let's go back to John chapter 10. And now let's read verse 1 again.
This the book of John, chapter 10, verse 1.
Verily,
verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber.
Right. Because they're trying to get in without Yahushua. Can you get into the kingdom of heaven without believing in the Messiah? No. You can't get there, right? You are a thief and a robber, right? You're a thief and a robber. And then verse 2, read that.
This is verse 2. But he that entereth in by the door
So if you enter in by the door, right? Come on.
Is the shepherd of the sheep.
So for us to be the shepherds of sheep, we have to have the door. And we're going to show what that door is, what it represents, right? Even when you go into the Hebrew language, every letter has an actual meaning. Like there's no meaning for A in the English alphabet, right? In the English alphabet, there's no meaning for B. It's just B. But our culture is a little bit more complex, right? So the Hebrew word for the da, right? Or the what we would say D, or the dialect, however you want to pronounce it, is door, right? That triangle that we would call a triangle, right? That shape. Ephraim, can you pull up the da in the Hebrew? I don't know if you can do it or not. But if you understand
find it.
Yeah, if you understand the Hebrew language, the da, right, you'll see in the Paleo Hebrew, right? Paleo Hebrew, or the ancient Hebrew, you'll see what looks like a triangle. All right. In the modern Hebrew, it's different. However, they go back to the same definition, which is entrance or door. There we go, right? So you see that in that writing in red, Ephraim? Does it have the definition? No, it doesn't have the definition. But I highly encourage if you have a chance, you will understand what I'm saying. That the da, right? That dialect, right? That it looks like a pyramid. It looks like a triangle. It means entrance. And even when you look at it, right, as a shape, it also looks like an entrance or a doorway to go into something, right? There's a lot of brothers will say his name is Daniel, right? There was an angel Daniel, right? But when you go into the pronunciation of the word in Hebrew, is Danya Allah, right? Which means what? Access to he that is the most high, or the access to the power, right? The da gives you access, right? That's how the language works. Dan ya Allah, right? So the da, right, is access, entry. That's why we went into that word, right? Or also would be what, right? We would say a gate or a doorway. So we got to understand why this is important, because that da, which is access, right, is the place. Even Hebraically speaking, from our forefathers, a lot of important matters, a lot of things that were solidified, whether good or bad, was done through the doorway. I'm gonna give you an example, right? We have Passover coming up. Somebody give me Exodus 12:7. We have Passover coming up, right? The first Passover, what did we do in the doorway? Anybody know?
Khan, you talking as far as the blood on the post and the top of the lintel?
That's right. We had to put blood on the doorposts, right? So let's bring that out, Ephraim.
Con, this Exodus 12:7. It says, and they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper doorposts of the houses, wherein they shall eat it.
Right. So we're talking about the Passover, right? And the reason why we needed that blood on our houses, right, so that angel will pass over us, because we're covered by the blood, right? And the only way, right, the instructions were that we would have it on the doorpost. That was an announcement, like, we're covered here, right? Pass over us and go somewhere else, right? So that's one example on how the door or the doorpost or even that entrance was a place where, like I said, matters were decided and a lot of significance was there, right? I'm gonna give you another example, right? What happens to a woman that's betrothed and on the night of consummating the marriage, there's no tokens of virginity that they can prove that she was indeed a virgin worth of a dowry? What happens to that woman?
If you can't find them tokens, you might have to return to sender.
Well, not only that, right? Let's get Deuteronomy 22:21. I'm gonna show y'all something. Watch this. Deuteronomy 22:21. Matter of fact, let's get the context. Let's start at 20.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22, verse 20.
Uh-huh.
But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found from the damsel, verse 21, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house.
So they're gonna bring the woman out, right? And they're gonna bring her to the door of her father's house. This is not happening in the house. Whatever's about to take place, it's not in the tabernacle. It's not in the middle of the congregation, right? This is in the door of the father's house. Read on.
And the men of her city shall stone her with stones that she Salakia. And the men of her city shall stone her with stones that she die.
Come on.
Because she hath wrought folly in Israel. to play the whore in her father's house.
Come on.
So shalt thou put evil away from among you.
Right. So like we understand, why we have to, certain sins require a death penalty. Is because of you don't want that to get contagious amongst the nation. And it's also serving as what? As an example on what not to do, right? So there's another example, right? If these all go back to the door, right? This is and the only reason why I'm bringing this out is to show the importance, right, of what it is to have a door, right? There's other examples, right? Let's get Exodus 21:6. We're going to go back through the law, right? Because that's how you understand the culture of Israel, right? It's going back to the law, going back to the commandments. All right.
The book of Exodus, chapter 21, verse 6.
Huh?
Then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door.
Let's get verse 5. Let's get some context. This is how you treat a Hebrew servant. Hebrew servants, right? Hebrew servants. Read that, verse 5.
Come. And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free.
So in context, right? If a man has servants, right, whether they're Hebrews or not, and you have that year of Jubilee, right, that 7th year where you're supposed to return them or release them from their work. And let's say, for instance, that brother meets in them maybe year 4 in this 7-year term of working. Year 4, he meets a woman. They have children. Technically, when that brother leaves, he doesn't leave with his family, right? You send him out free and you keep the children. If the brother that is a servant decides to stay, right, it's his choice if he wants to stay as a servant. And this is how you know that servitude under Israel isn't the same as servitude under the so-called white man or these other nations, right? When we were in rulership, it's actually like you're well taken care of. You're well taken care of from the standpoint of the laws, statutes, and commandments under a righteous brother, right? You may get lashed depending on your nation, but all in all, it's not as bad as when we think of slavery as today because of what Esau has done. Esau has taken slavery and made it horrific or horrendous. That's why that scripture says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, right? So we're talking about a man that's in authority, right? A man in authority. That's the only reason why a brother would say, I'm going to go back and serve under my master, right? So let's get verse 6.
Come. Then his master shall bring him unto the judges.
Mm-hmm.
He shall also bring him to the door.
He shall bring him to the door. Come on.
Or unto the door post.
Uh-huh.
And his master shall bore his ear through with an awl. And he shall serve him forever.
He shall serve him forever. He'll be a butler, right? Think about like Jeffrey from the Fresh Prince, right? They wasn't beating Jeffrey. They probably laugh at him a little bit, play pranks on him, but it wasn't when we think of slavery today, right? Or the butler or a maid, right? So he's going to serve that master forever, right? But all that goes back. Hey, shalom, brother Gabar. But all that initially, like I said, is going right back to where? The doorpost, the door, right? All that are established, right? Go to your door, right? There's a law. Let's get I'm gonna get one more, right? You got the 10 Commandments, things like that. Let's get Deuteronomy 11 and 20. Right. And if you are a brother or a sister that's new into this truth, right? These are these laws that we recommend that you can literally start doing overnight. Right. You can literally start doing these overnight and applying them to your life. All right. So let's get Deuteronomy 11 and verse 20.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 11, verse 20.
Mm-hmm.
And thou shalt write them upon the doorposts of thine house,
mm-hmm.
and upon thy gates.
So like we went through, I think a couple weeks ago, about putting the 10 Commandments or the law right, on your doorposts. Brothers can start doing that. You know, you can go on Amazon or you know, wherever, right? Any e-commerce site, and you know, literally type in, you know, 10 commandments and or some type of thing, or you can write them. I think Yahshua did a good job with that in his family, right? It became a family activity where brothers was able to share with their children on how to put these on your doorposts and make them established in your household. That's why it's important, and that's how and that's important. That's the importance of what the door or the entry. All right. All right. All praise. So with that being said, all right, I want to go right back to John chapter 10, verse 2.
This is the book of John, chapter 10, verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
But he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep.
Right. So now we understand if you go through the right way, you have the right to be a shepherd of the sheep. You have the right to be a shepherd of the sheep. Why? Because you came in the right way. You took the right path to get there. All right. Verse 3.
This is verse 3. To him the porter openeth, and
Mm-hmm.
and the sheep hear his voice.
The sheep hear his voice. Okay. The sheep hear his voice. Come on.
And he calleth his own sheep by name and leadeth them out.
So now we're looking at the duties of righteous men, right? Righteous men have the ability to have Israelites, right? Because we know who the Israelites are, the sheep. All right. So I want to get let's get 2nd Ezra 3:34. All right. Let's get 2nd Ezra chapter 3 verse 34. And we're going to go down to verse 36. All right. 2nd Ezra 3:34. Because what I want to also say is what? And he calleth his own sheep by what? By name. By name. Right? Meaning, what does it mean to be called by name? Meaning this is possessive, right? If I just say, hey, you, no one's going to listen. But if I say, hey, Yahshua, right? Then you got Yahshua. He's going to respond because that's the name, right? So let's.
Khan, you said 334.
Come.
Khan, this 2nd Ezra chapter 3 verse 34. Weigh thou therefore our wickedness now in the balance, and there's also that dwell in the world, and so shall thy name nowhere be found but in Israel.
So the Most High's name. Let's start right there. The Most High's name is found nowhere but in Israel. Come on.
Or when was it that they which dwell upon the earth have not sinned in thy sight? Or what people have so kept thy commandments?
You got a whole lot of nations. You got 18 nations, right? You got 18 nations with 18 cultures, belief systems, right? Things that pertain to them, right? Read verse 36.
It says, thou shalt find that Israel by name have kept thy precepts,
Come on.
but not the heathen.
But not the heathen, right? So if you know, people out here keeping the commandments, keeping the laws, right? This is another reason or another way that you can identify, right, who Israelites are. If you have a thirst to keep the laws of God, if you are afraid of the Most High God, right, and you keeping these commandments, right, then more than likely you probably an Israelite, right? You probably an Israelite. I said someone before, I don't know too many heathen that come into this truth, right? Now we know you got the small hats, right? They're born in this truth, but a lot of them leave, right? Y'all know who the small hats are, right? A lot of those guys leave. A lot of those ladies, they leave the Torah because it's not for them. So as soon as they get old enough and they get grown and they grow up, they go off, right? You find them, you know, I seen a lot of times in, was it Times Square, watching old videos where Priest Zabak or whoever, you know, Hashar, whoever's out there on in New York, where they're teaching, and those particular group of people walk by and they smoking cigarettes, they got the shaved face, right? They're breaking the commandments.
It's a lot. They be breaking the Shabbat.
They break the Shabbat, and they do it willingly, right? Because it's not for them, right? When Israel keeps the commandments, right? We actually have the fear of the Most High on us to not break the commandments. You'll rarely find another nation, right, Edomite or a Moabite, right, come into this understanding and want to do it, want to give away the marijuana, want to put the blunt out, right? They want to do, they want to keep the Shabbat, right? All these things go back to us, and we keep it with joy. It's not grievous. That's why. And thou shalt find that Israel by name have kept thy precept, right? Israel is the name of the Most High. What I mean by that is, like, my son has my name. He belongs to me. Even that was his last name, right? My family, right? They have my name. They belong to me. That's what it means.
Hey, Salakia, is this the small hat you're talking about?
Hey, that's fine. Hey, it's just so we don't get our account clear. That's fine. We'll say those are the small hats.
That might be one of them. Ain't no telling.
No,
God.
but we'll say, guys like Oppenheimer and Einstein and Finkelstein and
Goldberg,
Steinberg.
Stein. Yeah, those guys, right? So now that we understand that, right, now let's go right back to John 10:3 again.
Khan, this the book of John, chapter 10, verse 3. To him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice.
Come on.
And he calleth his own sheep by name. And
real quick, when you go into the voice, the understanding of voice, right? Now we understand, there's, again, the Hebrew language, the Hebrew tongue is synonymous with different types of, I don't know if you want to call them nouns or whatnot, but we hear the word shemai, which is to listen or to hear. And in order to hear, you have to have a voice, right? Or some type of noise, right? That stands out. So these sheep, they understand, right? They understand and are obedient to the voice of the righteous shepherd. The righteous shepherd, not the wicked shepherd. The righteous shepherd. I'm talking about the sheep that's called, right? The sheep that are called, right? Because even when you after that, what's that, a colon? Read after the word voice, there's a colon there, right? And then it's the word and. Now again, Josh, read on.
Khan, this is John chapter 10, verse 3.
Mm-hmm.
To him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice.
Mm-hmm.
And he calleth his own sheep by name and leadeth them out.
Now I need Isaiah 45:4. Because who are the ones that are called, that are calleth, that are even eligible to hear the shepherd's voice? Right? This is why you have situations with folks think they know God, they think they know the Most High, and they just want to talk, right? They just want to just spew words, right? They're not called. Maybe it's not their time yet, right? But ultimately, even if they're all Israelites, right, 2/3, right, got to be somebody, and they're not called. However, the ones that are called are going to hear. But in order to even qualify to hear or to even be called, you have to be an Israelite. All right. So let's get that Isaiah 45:4.
Khan, this Isaiah chapter 45, verse 4. It says, for Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel mine elect, I have even called thee by thy name.
See that? So that goes right back to being called by name. Right? Most High is calling you by name. Yashuan, right? Yashuv, Josh, Ephraim, right? And all the Israelites that's taking notes and listening and understanding this understanding, he's calling you by name. We don't go by skin. We don't go by what Which your last name may say, we go by if you are called and you hearken by name. That's what it means when it says the Spirit bear witness with our spirit. We all speak the same thing, right? We all have the same understanding. Why? Because we are all called by thy name. Read on.
Con. It says, I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me.
You see that? So only Israel is called by name. We don't believe that you can just be another nation and then just start believing and now you're called. No, that's supersessionism or replacement theology, however you want to word it, right? Where you replace the nation of Israel with a spiritual Israel and try to wing it, right? Most High said, and Yahweh said, I have called thee by name, right? So now we understand what that means. I want to get a few more. Let's get Matthew 15:24. Let's get a classic.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 15, verse 24.
Huh?
But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Of the house of Israel. I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house. You'll never see a Moabite, an Edomite, a Hamite called sheep. You'll never see that. You'll never see that. Sheep only goes to Israel. And when you look at the nature of a sheep, right? They're very when a sheep is what's the biggest defense of a sheep? They don't have any. They really don't have defense. Right? When you look at the nature of a sheep, they need a shepherd. They need someone to defend them. They need someone to lead them, right? A sheep can get lost. Sometimes you know you'll see the parables where a sheep was stuck in a ditch. He got his head and his neck stuck into a fence, right? Sheep are, you know, they're kind of dumb, gullible, silly, real weak and feeble. We need a shepherd. We need a king, right? And then we also need shepherds, plural. And this
Hey,
we're trying to
Salakia, real quick, Salakia.
go ahead.
That NLT that goes hard.
Come,
You
bring it.
can't get past that NLT.
Come, bring it out.
It says, "Then Yahweh Shai said to the woman, I was sent only to help God's lost sheep,
Mm.
the people of Israel."
Right. And you got to understand why were the Israelites lost? You had some that were scattered. You had some that were adopting the customs of the Grecians. Right. We were lost. We were actually physically lost, going to the Americas, going all over, being scattered. And then you had, you know, Jews in Judea that was lost spiritually by adopting the ways of the heathen, celebrating feast days and high holy days, right? All praises to the Most High. So does that make sense? Everybody good on that?
Con.
Come on. Let's get another one. Let's get Matthew 25, verse 31. Matthew 25, 31. Let's see what Yahweh Shai, right, when he comes back, right, what he's planning to do. And again, this is going right back to John 10 and 3. Bring it out when you got it.
Just the book of Matthew, chapter 25, verse 31.
Uh-huh.
When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory.
Come on.
Verse 32. And before him shall be gathered all nations.
So before Yahweh Shai, so the Son of Man, right? If you don't know, the Son of Man is Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, right? When he comes back, right, with the holy angels with him, he's going to be on the crown of glory. And then before him will be gathered all nations. It doesn't say anything about churches or organizations or even camps, right? No, we got a lot of camp separation, which is fine, right? But it's not about anything but by nations or nationalities, right? What's that word there? That's ethnos, right?
Strong's G 1484. Ethnos.
And that's where you get
Ethnos.
that's where you get the word ethnicity. So when I say what's your ethnicity, and you say I'm a Christian, that's we hear that a lot on Glenwood, right? Hey, what's your nationality? What's your ethnicity? And he or she will say, what? I go to church, I'm a Christian, or I'm a Muslim. No, that's not an ethnos, right? That's a people, right? So look at these definitions on the word ethnos. It says troop, swarm, company, right? Someone from the same genius, right? Where you get genes from, or the same nature or genius, right? The human family, right? But then look at it says a tribe, nation, people group. Now it says in the OT, foreign nations and not worshiping the true God, pagans, Gentiles, and that's all off context, right? That's context. All right. But those first couple ones on a broad stroke is what? Your nation, the people you come from. Look at that. Ethnos also says race, a race, right? A tribe. Okay. So when we start on the streets, when we say, hey, what ethnicity are you? They say, what's that? We'll say, we can say, what tribe? Who is your genes, right? Your family. We're talking about your family, your father, your mother, your cousins, right? These are Israelites we're talking about. So now that we understand, let's go right back to 32 and read it again.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 25, verse 32.
Mm-hmm.
And before him shall be gathered all nations,
Mm-hmm.
and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats.
You see that? So Christ is going to so we're talking about salvation here. We're talking about who's going to be accepted. And one of the prereqs that we're seeing right here, a prerequisite, is what? It's going to be by a nation. It's going to be by your nationality or your ethnicity or what tribe you come from, or even by race. So when we say Christ is a separatist, there's a good example, right? When we say the Most High God is a separatist, was that Deuteronomy 32:8, when he divides the nations, right? We're talking about separatism, not by anything, not by your job status, not about, where you're at currently in life. It's all about your nation. It's all about nation you come from, right? Read on 33.
Verse 33.
Mm-hmm.
And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left.
You see that? And that goes right back to Matthew 15:24. I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So the Israelites, he's going to set on his right hand, right? And then the other nations, or the goats, will be where? On the left. 34.
It's verse 34. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand,
On
come
his
ye
where?
on his right hand.
So who is the right hand designated for?
Yahushua. Oh, you talking
Well,
about the sheep. The sheep.
and the sheep is Israel, right?
Come.
Come. Read on.
Come, ye blessed of my father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world.
See that? So before the world was created, Israel was going to have this inheritance. Even when you go into the blessings of Abraham, right? Isaac and Jacob. That's why when Israel got the blessing, it was so important. That's what made the blessing so important, because his children, which is us, we were going to be able to have those promises in Romans 9, right? All those things that pertain to Israel in Romans 9 will go right to Israel. Your pastor won't tell you this. They won't even teach this kind of doctrine, but this is the truth of the Bible, right?
Come.
All right. Where we at? So we just did that. So John 10:3, right? Let me get there real quick. Let me get there with you. All right. Now we understand why the sheep hear the voice of the shepherds, right? And again, this all means that we have to do this the correct way, right? Let's get verse 4.
This is the book of John, chapter 10, verse 4.
Uh-huh.
And when he putteth forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice.
So the like we're going to, as shepherds, as shepherds, right? A righteous shepherd, a righteous brother that's doing this work, he's going to have a sense of following. Not saying, the brother is a celebrity. It's not that type of following. He's not a celebrity. He's not a rock star, right? He is it's a sense of, I want to learn, right? So we're going to hear his voice, right? That's why I said that voice is very important. That understanding of voice, right? And even, matter of fact, can you look up that word voice in the Greek, Baba Kasha?
Strong's G 5456. Phone. Phone.
Right? And what does that sound like? What is the word phone? Or just look at the word.
Sound like they're saying a phone.
Somebody
phone.
says
Calling.
phone. Yeah, I was gonna say phone.
We all got a phone, right? And what happens on the phone? There's interaction. There's voices being transcribed and talked about, right? So people are talking, and then people are listening, and then vice versa. You're having a conversation, right? So I want to get that. And what's that definition? As a matter of fact, can you read that? My eyes can't work right now. Can you read that definition for us?
Con. A sound, a tone of inanimate things as musical instruments, a voice, speech of language or tongue, probably akin to
You see
through
that?
the idea of disclosure.
Like it said speech or language or tongue, right? Finish that out, and then let's get the root word 5316. That
Con.
G53.
A tone, articulate, bestial, artificial by implication, an address, saying, or language. I was just gonna say, Salaki, also, like you could even take it as, it's a calling, right? Like, how did we all get here? Right? We heard the calling.
That's right. That's right. That's a good point, right? We all heard the calling. So what we see is brothers coming in as truth, whether you're watching, other camp videos, I won't name them, right? But we hear videos, we hear brothers teach, and it sounds like the truth. It makes sense. It registers and it clicks, right? And then that's us being sheep, being led into righteousness by the voice of the shepherds. And then now we're building ourselves up to also be shepherds. But it all goes back to how you enter into this truth. All right. So let's get that Strong's Concordance 516. I want to, because we seen that word said phone, right? And for the word voice, let's get that and let's break it down even more. Yeah, let's get that word. What's that mean?
Strong's G 5316. Final. Final.
Come on. Now let's see. To bring forth into light, right? Cause to shine, light shine, evident, right? To be evident, to be brought forth into light, to appear, to view. Let's go down to appear to the mind. Let's go to Strong's. Look at this in Strong's. To lighten, shine, show, appear, seen, be seen, or shine, right? But what ultimately what I was trying to get to was what Ephraim was saying. When we have this information, right, we come into it and it just sounds like the truth. Like it's our unplugged moment, right? Going back to the analogy of the Matrix, right? It's like I'm finally unplugged because I'm hearing the voice of the gospel. It resonates. Okay. Can somebody get me 1 Corinthians 1 and 10? Because even Paul tells us that we have to have the same voice. We have to have the same language, right? And this ultimately goes to being on the same account or the same accord, right? Read that.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 1, verse 10.
Uh-huh.
Now I beseech you, brethren, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that ye all speak the same thing.
You see that? That we all speak the same. We're all one. We're all saying the same thing. We all speak the same thing, meaning our doctrine is the same. You don't have brothers in the camp teaching one thing and then teaching another thing. We all have our understanding in our own ideas, but when it comes to doctrinal issues, we all speak the same thing, right? Read on.
Con. And that there be no divisions among you.
And this is what it means for us to be one, that there's no divisions among us. Well, I believe this, I believe that, right? And then it's like we could talk about it, even if it's something minute. But if it's major, then we have to really iron out the mishaps, right? Read on.
But that ye be perfectly joined together in the same mind and in the same judgment.
Right. So even as we go through these Wednesdays and we go into our Fridays and we go into our Saturdays and we just, even when we just in our group texts and group chats, just talking to each other, this is how brothers stay connected. This is how brothers speak the same thing and have the same understanding. And we all speak the same thing, right? Just wanted to bring that out. That's an advice that Paul gave, right? Let's also get John 17 and 20. Let's get John 17:20. Because even when you look at a man and wife, right? Man and wife come together, right? They become what? They become one. Meaning we have the same understanding. And why do relationships and marriages break? Because they no longer become one. One person wants to do this, one wants to do that. It ain't always about money or lack thereof. Sometimes y'all grow apart because y'all no longer speak the same thing. Y'all are no longer one. Read that out, 17 and 20.
Khan, it's the book of John, chapter 17, verse 20. Neither pray I, Salakia, neither pray I for these alone, but for them also which shall believe on me through their word.
Come on.
That they all may be one, as thou, Father, art in me, and I in thee, that they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that thou hast sent me.
You see that? So Yahushua is saying a prayer, right? And he's saying that even the disciples, even down to 2000, the brothers that's teaching in 2023, that for us to be one, we have to speak the same thing. There's no divisions amongst us, right? I know certain brothers may feel, well, we got 100% truth. That's fine. But you know what's funny? We all speak the same thing, right? And y'all know who I'm talking about. Brothers say, if you're not in this organization, you're not in the truth. Well, if we speak the same thing, then we don't have to be in your organization to have the 100% truth, because the 100% truth goes back to the word, goes back to the scriptures, right? But we all speak the same thing.
Salakia, I've found now I'm on three camps that say that same dumb mess.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and you know what's crazy is now when you got, what was that group, Israel of God, that we debated last summer? Them brothers don't teach the same thing. They're not one with us. They believe that they're Israelites. They do believe that they're Israelites. But when we had that debate, you saw that they were really just Christians. And we don't speak even though you call yourself an Israelite and know what tribe you from or whatnot, that's fine. But if you're not speaking the same thing that Yahushua said, right? We're not one. We're not. We don't have the same voice, and this is why their sheep, right, is being led astray.
And the crazy thing about that also is that, like, cool, y'all believe what you believe, but is what you believe in the scriptures. And the only way that we knew that they were off was because of the fact that they aren't following the scriptures. And we brought out plenty of scriptures to show that they weren't following, right? Fringes is the perfect topic.
That's the perfect topic. That was the least of the commandments that they refused to do. And they had excuses on that, right? There's
Big excuses.
And look, and so what does that make them? That makes them John 10:1. These are the guys that's trying to enter in a whole nother way. Right? Don't that make sense? These guys, right? Whether it was Brother Jared, my man, all the slick talk, that dive turkey talk, all that, it was entertainment. It was good entertainment. It was good for entertainment purposes. But ultimately, when that brother was saying, he's trying to enter in through a whole nother way. He's not nice.
Hey, Salakia, I got a precept for that too. That go back to that John 10, the first 2 verses. This the book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 13. It says, "Enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction." So, like that go back to that John chapter 10 and verse 1 and 2. Right. When he said, if you try to enter in another way, you ain't gonna make it. Like you was talking about the that congregation that we debated, they was trying to enter in another way, like you said. Yeah. Right. They said, well, we ain't gotta wear fringes because Isaiah he was naked, Right. So we ain't gotta wear fringes because Paul he was mistaken for Egyptian. So that means we ain't gotta keep the commandments no more. Right. Like you said, they trying to enter in through a different way. But it says, and many there be which go thereat. So the Lord said it's gonna be many that's gonna go, through that path that lead to destruction. And how many people in that brother congregation, like they was bragging about it. They said, look, we the biggest church in Israel. Ain't that what he said? Yeah, he said we the biggest church in Israel, right? So all those people that's following them, they been led to that path to destruction. So it says, because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. And that's it on that.
Khan, that's powerful because it also talks about a gate, right?
Khan.
That's you can't get into the kingdom. It's like a house, right? It's like a house. I can't come in through the window, and I can't come in through the chimney. I can't come in underground. I got to go through a door.
And Salaki, and their congregation is funny because not only are they trying to enter in through another way, but they're trying to bring other people that don't belong in with them. They're trying to bring the heathens in with them, and they don't even belong in there, like we've been bringing out.
Yeah, so the sheep, right? This is why like John 10, right, is a heavy scripture when you break this down, because it, like John 10 is literally going into only Israelites must go through the door to get into the kingdom, right? And we went through a little bit of a breakdown, right, on the importance of the door, right? The importance of what that door meant, historical wise, right? Ethan got me rolling with me.
Right, yeah, he killing me with the come on, man.
Hey, Salakia, my bad.
Hey, that's the only no folly, but look, that's the only workout our elder sisters do is when they go to church, their feet start moving fast, man.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? So, all right, so
now do the chicken dance.
Right. So now that we understand that, right, and this is why we went into that word, the voice, right, phone or phone, right? It all goes into us being on the same accord. We're on the same account. We have the same understanding, right? Now let's get John 10 and let's get verse 4.
This is the book of John, chapter 10, verse 4. And when he
Mhm.
putteth forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice.
And they know our voice. I know Malak, he's not on right now, but when Malak first came into the camp, host. And man, it was spiritual on when you first come in the truth, you got that zeal, so everything you see is spiritual, right? And when I first seen Malak, I believe Malak said he was looking for us, on YouTube. But he was across the street. We was at that old bus stop. I'll tell a quick story. And I seen Malak walking across the street by that parking lot. And he saw us, and we had the microphones out, and it was like, in my opinion, right? I said, man, this brother just heard us, and just like he beelined, like he saw us, his eyes got big, and he walked across the street, and he's been with Yahweh's camp ever since, right? And that was symbolic, because when I look at that account and I reflect on that account, I remember seeing Malak, and it was almost like, the brother was like doing something else, running errands through the city. He saw us, and he just, dropped everything and came to serve the Most High by joining the camp. That's just something that I always think about, because he heard the voice of the brother teaching. I don't know who was teaching that day, but it was just a powerful thing to see, and again, the sheep follow him, and they know his voice. It was almost like I saw the brother Malak get unplugged from his current status, and then he was like, boom, here we go, right? I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna go talk to them. All right. Just a quick story that I always like to share with our brother Malak. All right. All right, let's move on. Let's get verse 5. Let's get verse 5. John 10 and 5.
It's the book of John, chapter 10, verse 5. And
Mm-hmm.
a stranger will they not follow.
It says what?
And a stranger will they not follow.
So our people know BS doctrine when we hear it, right? A lot of times our people leave the church because of what? The doctrine of the pastors that's a stranger. Even the doctrine of Christianity is a doctrine of the heathen. When you really break it down, when you go to seminary school and you get all these credentials and you feel like you're ordained to teach, you're ordained by strangers. They're not Israelites that's giving you this ordination. Even if it's a black professor, right, or a black or a Hispanic professor, the doctrine they teach you is the doctrine of the heathen, right? And even when you go to these seminary schools, they teach you things that, like the Trinity, right? They teach you things like oneness. They teach you things that counter the Bible, and our people literally eat this up. But then some don't, right? So it says, and a stranger will they not follow. Read on.
But will flee from him,
Uh-huh.
for they know not the voice of strangers.
You see that? Like a sheep doesn't know the call of another shepherd, right? Even take sheep out. Put your pets, put your children. I was watching a documentary on like a herd of like zebras, or like African herds, right? And there's like thousands and thousands of zebras, and they have a birthing season, right? Where there's like the mare, right? The male zebra, right? He'll have multiple wives, and right on time, the kids come and they're born right around the springtime. And when there's panic, whether there's a predator around or some type of predator, and they have to run, they go from a grazing mode to a mode where they have to run, they have to flee, and the mother will make a noise. There's a lot of noises being made, and the baby will hear his mother's voice and find her and become protected. The same thing applies here, right? We know the voice of our Father or our King, Yahweh Shai, right? By going by the word, right? So even when it says, but will flee from him, right? That's actually Torah, right? That's the Torah right there. I'm going to show you how fleeing from the strangers or the doctrine of what we would call devils or Christianity and running from that goes back to us keeping the law, right? Let's get Deuteronomy 13:3. All right, let's get Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 3. Now, again, this is all tied to your salvation, Israel, right? So if you're following along, listen to what we're saying, right? Through the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, so you can understand what the underlying message is, right? And it goes back to keeping these commandments and these laws. So let's get Deuteronomy 13:3. Let's start at 2, Salakia. Let's start at 1. Let's just get 1.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 13. If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and giveth thee a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder come to pass, whereof he spake unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods, which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet.
Read verse 3 again.
Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet.
Come on.
Or that dreamer of dreams. For the Lord your God proveth you.
Come on.
To know whether ye love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul.
Right. So what verse 3 is saying is, in a nutshell, to not hearken means to flee from the doctrine of anyone that's telling you to break God's commandments. And you find it all through the scriptures, Isaiah 8:20, right? To the law and to the testimony. If they speak not according to the law, right? Or to these things, there's no light in them. Even when you go into the oracles of God, right? If any man speak, let him speak what? As the oracles of God. So verse 2 of that Deuteronomy 13, right? If someone is saying, we're going to worship a Trinity, well, you're breaking the commandment. And as a Christian, as a Black Christian, as a Hispanic Christian, as a Native Christian, or as an Israelite in Christianity, you need to leave that doctrine and you need to run from that. That's a law that you must do. You must run from that. That's why it says, thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet. Even if it comes true, if it's breaking the commandments, you have to leave and run from that. Flee, right? You got to flee from that. All right? That makes sense? All right, let's go right back to John 10 and 5 again.
Just the book of John, chapter 10, verse 5. And a stranger will they not follow, but will flee from him.
You see that? That dreamer of dreams, he's giving you these doctrines, the devils, and it's just not by the word of God, right? It's just not by the word of God. Sister told me yesterday that she said verbatim, I know I'm going with this. She said, God said, come as you are, right? I'm still looking for that scripture in the Bible, right? The Bible don't say that God said that. And you just lied on the Most High God so that you can do what you want to do. She literally...
So right? She said her parents was ministers too.
Exactly. So what would that would make them a culprit of John 10 and 1. If your mother and you're right, Yashua, she said her parents, right, were pastors. Well, they're trying to get into the kingdom of heaven a whole nother way, which makes them what? A thief and a robber. You can't make this up in these last days, man. You can't make these up in these last days. Coming in another day, another way, right? Like, we should be fleeing from that. And she literally got, and it's, we were trying to be patient with the sister, but she literally got flamed all on Facebook. Right? I mean, we were trying to be patient, but when you say I ain't got to bring no scriptures out, right? You're a stranger. Your doctrine is the doctrine of a stranger. It says, and a stranger will they not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers. We don't know the doctrine of Christianity anymore. You're not going to convince me that God is three people, right? But he's one, and then he has a hierarchy. You know, like, it's just confusing to even try to regurgitate the Trinity, right?
Hey, Salakia. Another thing I've been hearing a lot these last couple of weeks, months is all you got to do is believe. You don't have to have no actions behind it. You don't have to have. You got to have the faith. A lot of Christians say, well, you got to have the faith, but they don't put no actions behind it. They totally throw law out the window, and they say you don't even have to worry about the law as long as you believe, and as long as you believe in Christ Yahushua. You can make it, but we know the book of James says you got to put some actions behind that thing.
God, let's bring it out. Let's get James 1. Was that James? Was it James 2? James, hold on. I believe it's James. Yeah, James 2 and
14.
Right. Yeah, let's get that.
Con, this the book of James, chapter 2, verse 14. It says, what doth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he have faith and have not works? Can faith save him?
Can faith save that man, right? Let's jump down to verse
17.
Yeah,
It says,
go from 17 down to 24. But yeah, 17 hits it right on the nose. All right.
It says, even so faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone.
Hey, you know what that reminds me of? That, right? That wanna be a millionaire. He sit on the couch all day playing PlayStation. Right? I want to be a millionaire, but he's not putting any works on how to get there. He's having faith, and he's going to have $1 million in his bank account. That's faith, but you got to have action to it. And the Christian church, they take all the action out of it, and they're going to go into the kingdom of heaven by having faith, right? And that's why I said, even so, faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone. Right? They get verse, that's it on that, right? I mean, you can read on down, right? I mean, it tells you about Abraham being justified by his works, faith, right? So you have, they work together. But to make your point, Josh, you're right. The Christian church just relies solely on faith, and that's it. They go to bed thinking I'm going to have $1 million when I wake up. Even if you play the lottery, you're still putting in work. You're going down, you're spending money on the lotto ticket, right? And you're having faith, right? So the guy that's spending money on his lotto ticket, he got more faith and works than the person that ain't doing nothing. Just sitting on his ass, right? Pardon my French. Sitting on his behind, right? Trying to get $1 million, just dreaming and fantasizing about money, but not doing anything. You have to have works with the faith for it to be completed. That's a good scripture right there.
Come.
All right. And again, it goes back to the doctrine of Christianity that our people hold near and dear to them. And they'll fight you. Like they'll fight you on their doctrine. They won't have no scripture to support it. They'll just fight you and say, yeah, you can't tell me nothing, right? Well, that's the doctrine of strangers. All right. Let's go right back to that in John 10.
You want verse 6, King?
Come on, let's get verse 6.
This the book of John, chapter 10, verse 6.
Mm-hmm.
This parable spake Yahushua unto them, but they understood not what things they were which he spoke unto them.
Right. So even the people, right? They were kind of like, what is he talking about? Right. But we understand because we have the precepts. Scripture says, through thy precepts, I get understanding. Right. So we understand the precepts, and we have the Bible, right? So we're able to see what Yahushua is going to say. Let's get verse 7.
Verse 7. Then said Yahushua unto them again, verily, verily, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep.
What Yahushua say?
I am the door of the sheep.
So So Yahushua reveals who the Da in the alphabet, who the access is to the Most High. And I believe we did this in the class one day, but even when you look at the lily, right, the so-called Star of David, however you want to word it, the Shield of David, you have two Das, right? You have an upside down triangle and a right side up triangle. You put them together, and that's the insignia or the shield of David, right? Ephraim, can you pull up the Shield of David, Baba Kasha, for the viewing audience so they can see? And even when you take David's name, right? Dawada, right? You have two Das in his name, right? Two Das. Dawada, right? Which means, again, it means access or entry. You can't go into the Father unless you come to the Son, right? You can't go into the Father unless you go through Yahushua. So there you go, right? So if you see, use your imagination, you have two triangles on top of each other, and now you have two Das, right? Da and Da. Right? Remember Friday After Next when he said Dada. I always wanted a Dada. You see that? So you have two Das or two dialects, right? Right. So just something to look into, right? As you had a seal or insignia or the stamp of the beloved King David. All right. That's also, so Yahushua says what? He says, I am the door for the sheep. Right? So this is a good question to ask these non-messianic brothers or the brothers that don't believe in the Messiah. Right? How are you going to get into the kingdom of heaven?
Man, I was just gonna say that.
That's the spirit. That's the spirit. How are you going to get into the kingdom of heaven without the Son? All right. We're going to get into all that. That's why we're going to have a two-part on this, because we're going to really go into some prophecies. We're going to go into the breakdown. We went into the Hebrew. We're just asking regular questions now. How are you going to go into the kingdom without going through the Son? They're going to be outside. They're going to be shut out. All right. So Christ says, I am the door of the sheep. Read verse 8.
This is John chapter 10, verse 8. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them.
And so this goes back to the wicked Pharisees, the wicked Sadducees, well, not the Sadducees, but the wicked Pharisees, the scribes, even the people, right? They were robbers, and they came before Yahushua. They were the ones that were given the law before Yahushua came on the scene. But, even when you go into the Maccabees and you go into right before Yahushua came on the scene, you had the Herodians, right, who were Edomites. They also called themselves what? King of the Jews. Right? They were calling themselves Jewish or Jews, right? Or Judeans, but they were thieves. They were robbers. They stole your identity. They stole your nationality. And then they were teaching people how to go off. And they were in bed with the Romans, making deals with the Romans, doing all these things that were wicked to our people. And then they were also hypocrites as well. Add the hypocrisy on top. That's the cherry on top. The cherry on top is the hypocrisy that they were into. That's why Yahushua said, do as they say, not as they do. Because they told you to keep the law, but they themselves weren't keeping the laws. All right? And they were thieves and robbers. That's why verse 1 was very important of that same chapter. We're only at verse 7, right? Verse 8. And that's why you understand that verse 1 is very important. Now, let's go right back. Let's go to Revelation 4:1. And I want you to keep in mind Jacob's ladder when you go to Revelation 4:1. Right. Let's get Revelation 4:1 real quick.
It's the book of Revelations, chapter 4, verse 1. After this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven.
A door was opened up in the heaven, right? So again, to get into the kingdom of heaven, There, you have to walk through the door. And Yahushua said, what? He is the door. He is the access. And how does Christ make us accessible? Right? How do you come into the presence of the Most High with Yahushua? Because our sins are purged from us. You're an acceptable offering. Now you're unblemished, right? You're clean again. You're purged with his side. All right. So it says a door was opened into heaven. Read on.
And the first voice which I heard was as it were of a trumpet talking with me, which said,
Read
"Come
on.
up," which said, "Come up hither, and I will shew
It
thee."
said, real quick, it said, "Come up hither," right? And it says, "I will show thee things that must be hereafter." But again, when you go back to that Genesis 28, that's the idea of the ladder, right? The ladder allows you to if you want to use the word beamed up, right? If you want to use the word being taken up, right? Ultimately, you go to the kingdom of heaven through the ladder and you walk through the door. That's why when Yahshua said that scripture in Matthew 7, right? That straight and narrow is the path, right? And we're going to get into that. But the path is the ladder. That's the way you get to the door, to walk through it, to get into the kingdom of heaven. You just don't remember Star Trek, you can teleport, right? They would get into those little I might be dating myself with this one, but in Star Trek, when they wanted to board a ship, they would get into these little cockpits type of things, little rooms, and then their DNA, their matter would disappear, and then they would reappear into their designation. Well, that's science fiction, right? When it comes to this real life, you have to have a way to get there. That's why we say that Christ says that there's a path that you must get there, and it's a narrow path. Not everyone is going to be able to climb that ladder, right, to get into the kingdom of heaven or get into the presence of the Most High, right? And that door was open in the heaven, right? So again, to get into the kingdom of heaven, just want to clarify that and hammer that home. You have to go through the door, which is Yahushua. All right. All right. So that's okay. So let's go back. John 10 and 8. Read that again.
This is the book of John, chapter 10, verse 8. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them.
So again, that's the false leaders, right? That's the false shepherds. That's the guys that's leading people astray, right? From verse 5 and verse 1, verse 5. That's who Christ is calling out right here. These parables are cold when you really break these things down. He's rebuking them to their face, right? Let's get Jeremiah 23 and 1. Let's get Jeremiah 23 and 1. Right.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 23, verse 1. Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith Yahweh.
See that? So it's destruction coming to the people that destroy and scatter the people. Well, how do they scatter the people? You ain't got to keep the laws no more. Or another big law that they broke was respecter of persons. Right? That was another law that was frequently broken. The guy got some power, got a little bit of money and authority. He pay a Pharisee or a priest, a chief priest, some hush money. Here, I know you saw me doing this wicked, but here's some money, right? Don't bring me up on charges. And that happens. It happens today, right? You don't really see celebrities go to jail because they got money. There's no righteous judgment.
That's called bribery.
Bribery. There you go, right? These pastors they would scatter the sheep. Well, how would you scatter sheep, right? Let's go back to the law. We're gonna hold Jeremiah 23 and 1, and let's get Deuteronomy 28, right? Verse 15, and then we're going to jump to 64.
Khan, you want Deuteronomy 28:15, King?
Let's get that first, Con.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and all his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
All right, so now it goes, if you're disobedient, you're a disobedient Israelite, you're disobedient little boys and girls, right? You're gonna have curses, right? This is actually one of the first scriptures that a lot of Israelites come in this truth understanding is Deuteronomy 28. Right? We all have our own scriptures that stuck to us. Some, going to Jeremiah 10 about Christmas, and some going to Deuteronomy 28. But this is that voice that hooked you, right? This is what hooked us, right? Let's get 64.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy father have known, even wood and stone.
You see that? So even understanding we're going to be scattered as a result of our disobedience. Now let's go back to Jeremiah 23:1. And we're going to read that again with the understanding that we just got from Deuteronomy 28.
Con. Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith Yahweh.
Come on.
Therefore, thus saith Yahweh, God of Israel, against the pastors that feed my people.
And the pastors are feeding the people defiled doctrines or defiled bread, so to speak. Right? They're teaching them how to disobey God and then say, oh, you can get into the kingdom of heaven, and you can get into the kingdom of heaven. Just give me some money. It's the same thing in 2023, right? They're not teaching you nothing in the church. Read on.
Ye have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doings.
And so you see, saith the Lord. And look, and you see ultimately their destruction, their fate, right? That's why Christ said, if you teach men to do so, to break the laws, and 5, he said, you're going to be called what? Least in the kingdom of heaven.
God.
Right? Let's get verse 3.
God. And I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries whither I have driven them, and will bring them again to their folds, and they shall be fruitful and increase.
Oh, praises, right? Let's get verse 4.
God. And I will set up shepherds over them, which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall they be lacking, saith Yahweh.
So you got evil shepherds from Jeremiah 23:1-3. And the result is, right, it's calamity. Our people are scattered as a result. Our people are all jacked up, right? And then verse 4, you have a new set of shepherds that's going to teach them righteously. Now, based off what we discussed so far, this last hour and a half, right? The pre-qualifiers, or what qualifies you to be a righteous teacher, is coming through the door. That goes right back to John 10:1-2. You go right through the door to be able to teach the people so that they won't be scattered, right? But the folks that's not going through the door, godly.
That's the scattered sheep right there.
That's the scattered sheep right here, right? If not going through, man, that's not even a year from each other.
Damn. Hey, that's your tribe, Ephraim.
Hey, I don't think I can claim this one.
But you know, but you know what's also crazy about that scripture in Jeremiah 23? The pastors don't also got to teach the Bible to scatter the sheep. You can be a rapper, an entertainer, a musical artist, and push the doctrine like Dwayne Wade, and the idea that him and Gabrielle Union is pushing is scattering the sheep. When you push the LGBT community, right, and the movement and the trans movement, you're ultimately scattering the sheep because you have influence and you have power, right? Guys like Jay-Z, right? Guys like these artists, right? The Rihannas of the world, right? They use their celebrity to scatter the sheep. They're the leaders of the black man today, right? Our people's leaders, whether it's a Creflo Dollar, he's no different than, you know, a rapper, a young thug, right? Because they teach you how to break God's commandments and get away with it. That's how you scatter the sheep. That's why Deuteronomy 28 and 15 was so important, because it tells you, right, that you're going to be scattered by going under a curse because you broke the commandments of God, right? I remember Jay-Z, he had in a song Money Cash Hoes, he said what? He said, F the law, keep sinning. People didn't catch that back then. That was like 90. But he said, F the law, right? And then he said, keep sinning. I believe Jay-Z knows exactly what he's doing when he says things like that.
Con.
Because sin is the transgression of the law.
Hey, Salakia King, that's crazy that you said that. That was powerful because, man, Jay, he's always led our people down the wrong road as far as following the Most High. You know, other rappers they did whatever, but calling himself Jehovah on his first album, talking about, you know, he don't pray to God, he prays to God, or all this other stuff. Like, Jay's always been notorious for that, King.
Right. And he's not dumb. Like Jay-Z is not, these artists, they not dumb. They know exactly what they doing and what they say and how they say it and what they mean. Right. So when you say things like that, right? F the law, keep sinning, right? You're literally teaching people how to scatter the sheep, or you're a shepherd, a wicked shepherd in John 10 and 1, right? John 10 and 5. You're you're the opposition, right? Princess Judea said it right. He is a straight devil, right? He's a deceiver, right? He's a deceiver. He's a deceptive, right? And, you know, we understand the smooth words of a rap album, the smooth words of an R&B lyric, right? Or a hot beat is going to subconsciously put in your brain how to break the laws of God subconsciously, right? This is why they hate us on these social media platforms, because we teach the truth. They hate us on here, and we love to hate. Keep the hate coming. Like, they're not coming at Muslims like this, right? They're not coming at Jehovah's Witnesses like this. The most Jehovah's Witness get is a slam door, right? They coming at your families. They coming at your wives. They're going to come more and more at you because you teach the truth and sincerity. All right. So where we at? So Yahushua said he's the door, right? Yahushua said he's the way to get into the kingdom. Let's get John 10. Where we at? Verse 9. Let's get verse 9. Ephraim, can you pull up pastors, or pastures, however you pronounce it, in the Strong's Concordance?
Come on, this is the book of John. Go ahead, Salakia.
Yeah, there we go. Get John 10.
This
You good. Go ahead.
This is the book of John, chapter 10, verse 9. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved.
Stop right there. Real quick. So Christ says, I am the door. I am the da, right? I am the entrance. By me, by Hamashiach, if any man enter in, he shall be saved. This is the definition of salvation, or one of many definitions. But if someone says, how do I get salvation? You have to have Christ. You have to get into the kingdom through Christ. You would actually be what do they call a trespasser if you come any other way. Right? Read on.
And shall go in and out and find pasture.
All right. I want to get this word pasture real quick. Watch this. Get that real quick.
Strong's G 3542. Name. Name.
Name, right? Now, what does that say in the Strong's Concordance? It says from the same as 3542? No. Click that
3551.
Yeah, try that one. Look at this. What's that word? It's said name, right? That's name. That's the root
Strong's
word.
G 3551. Namos. Namos.
Now, what does that say in definition?
Anything established, anything received by usage, a custom, a law, a command.
Read on.
Of any law whatsoever.
Now let's get the Strongs. Go down to the Strongs. Watch this.
Law.
Read on.
Regulation. Especially of Moses.
Especially of what?
Of Moses.
So Christ is saying, now that we understand what that pasture, when you break these words down, no may, right? Or nama, the root word goes down back to the law of Moses. Then it says also of the gospel, or figuratively a principle or law. So did everybody catch that?
Look at B. It says of the Mosaic law. Just to be even clearer.
Hey, listen. We teach the truth of this Bible here at Yahweh's Camp, man. Right? I don't know what your pastors are doing, but they're just giving you rhetoric. They're just giving you words, and it's a good message. It's a feel-good message. A locker room halftime speech, right? Bobby Boucher, he come in at halftime and save the day, right?
They give you pork sandwich and seafood boil.
Right, but when we break this word down, pasture, all right? So now let's read it again, John 10:9, with the understanding now.
This is the book of John, chapter 10, verse 9. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out and find pasture.
Now you're going to find the law, or how to on more specifically how to observe the law correctly, right? How to observe the law correctly, and you have to first start off right with going through Yahushua, right?
Hey, Yahushua was deep with the metaphors and the parables, weren't he, King?
Man, he was cutting them, right? He was cutting them something smooth, right? So let's get Ezekiel 44. Let's go to the prophecy on this. All right, let's go into the prophecy of Yahushua being the door, or having that access, right?
Hey, Salaki, I just wanted to throw something in here real quick.
Check it out.
You know, we talking about the pastures and being fed. You know, I mean, when you go to Isaiah 65:13, it says, "Therefore, thus saith Yahweh, behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed." And that's just, you know, going into who are these people that are going to be hungry, right? Who are the people that are going to be thirsty, right? Thirsty for that word, that true living water.
Right.
You know? And I mean, that's pretty deep. And if you go back to the, you know, the pasture and find pasture, and what we just go into with pasture, to eat, right? The law. I mean, it's
Right.
synonymous, you know, it flows.
Right. That water and that bread goes right back to what? The laws, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Yeah, that was powerful. I like that, King. I like that. I likes that. All praise to the Most High, man.
Con,
All praises, all praises. Yeah, let's get Ezekiel 44:1.
con.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 44, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then he brought me back the way of the gate out of the outward sanctuary, which looketh towards the east, and it was shut.
And it was shut, right? So understanding this, you have to understand that a lot of we lost our access to the Most High. By the time we're in captivity, whether it's Babylonian or Medo-Persian, Greek, right? We lost access to the Most High. That's why it says the gate was shut. The gate meaning the door, right? There's no access, right, to the sanctuary. It was shut. We can, like it was defiled. Physically, the temple was defiled, right? And you can see it. You know, I'm pretty sure you can probably walk in physically, but spiritually, our connection with the Most High at this point, the Most High said that door is going to be shut. There's no more access. Read on.
Con, verse 2. Then said Yahweh unto me, this gate shall be shut, it shall not be opened, and no man shall enter in by it.
You see, that's why we say that the gate or the door is an entry, a way to enter in, right? And no man was going to be able to enter in or come into the presence of the Most High. We lost the priests, right? We lost our leaders. We lost our priesthood. We lost our elders. We lost a lot of the brothers that was doing things correctly because of the folly that Israel was under, right? Read on.
Because Yahweh, the God of Israel, hath entered in by it, therefore it shall be shut.
Mm-hmm. Read.
Verse 3. It is for the prince he shall sit in it to eat bread before Yahweh. He
Mm-hmm.
shall enter by the way of the porch of that gate, and shall go out by the way of the same.
You see that? So who is this prince?
Yahweh Shah?
Yahushua, right? So the prince, because listen, you'll get a non-messianic or Torah only or Tanakh only. They're going to say that's Zerubbabel, right? Read it again. I'm going to show you the difference. Read it again.
At the top, verse 3.
Verse 3, come.
This is Ezekiel chapter 44, verse 3. It is for the prince, he shall sit in it to eat bread before Yahweh.
So Zerubbabel, right, isn't eating the bread before the Most High. We're going to let's get Leviticus 24:7, right? And then let's also get, because this also goes into the priesthood of Melchizedek, right? This goes into the Melchizedek priesthood, right? Because the priests was able to go into the sanctuary and eat the holy things, right? And we know Yahushua is also a king and a priest by the priesthood of Melchizedek. All right, so let's get Leviticus 24:7.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 24, verse 7.
Mm-hmm.
And thou shalt put pure frankincense upon each row, that it may be on the bread for a memorial, even an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. Verse 8. Every Sabbath he shall set it in order before Yahweh continually, being taken from the children of Israel by an everlasting covenant.
Read verse 9.
Verse 9. And it shall be Aaron's and his sons.
It should be who?
And it shall be Aaron's and his sons.
So Aaron, right, was a Levite, and his sons were Levites. So this shewbread that we're talking about is for the priesthood of Levi, but specifically by the sons of Aaron. Read on.
and they shall eat it in the holy place, for it is most holy unto him of the offerings of Yahweh, made by fire, by a perpetual statue.
A perpetual statue, right? So this prince that we're seeing in Ezekiel 44:3, right? He's going to come right back into that sanctuary, and he's going to eat the bread before the Lord, right? I didn't see Zerubbabel doing this, right? I didn't, right? It's a priesthood, right, and a kingship as well. All right. I want to get also let's get Genesis 14:8. Let's go back to the account that Abraham had with Melchizedek, and let's tie these together.
Khan, also another quick thing. Who else was on a porch? And that just makes me think of Solomon's porch. And Yahweh Shai was on Solomon's porch.
Right. Khan, that's right. That's right. Hey, that's a heavy point. I actually missed that one. That was good, right? He should enter in by the way of the porch. And Yahweh Shai sat on Solomon's porch during the Feast of Dedication when they rededicated what? The temple.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He was commemorating the Feast of Dedication when they rededicated the temple, or what? The sanctuary that was supposed to be shut.
Mm-hmm.
Yahweh Shai fulfilled that prophecy on the low. People didn't even catch that. They was more concerned in being the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You said
right. Genesis 14:18.
The book of Genesis, chapter 14, verse 18. It says, and Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the priest of the Most High God.
You see that? So he brought forth bread and wine. So let's just understand what that bread represents. Right? The bread represents the understanding of the word, the knowledge of the word, right? So he was bringing that bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High. So when we had the shewbread in the tabernacles, right, or on the in the holy or set aparts, right, that represented the understanding, right, of the understanding of the Most High, right. Let's get let's get Proverbs 9:4. All right, let's get Proverbs 9:4, and we're gonna read down to verse 10. It goes into understanding the law of the Most High, right?
Come on, this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 9, verse 4. Whoso is simple, let him turn in hither. As for him that wanteth understanding, she saith to him.
So wisdom, right? Wisdom is saying, if you want understanding, right? Read.
Verse 5. Come, eat of my bread, and drink of the wine which I have mingled.
You see that? It said, wisdom says, eat of my bread and drink of the wine. What did Melchizedek bring? He brought bread and wine, right? And that goes into the understanding. All right, read on.
Verse 6. Forsake the foolish and live.
And what?
Forsake the foolish and live.
And what gives us life? What? Right. Yeah. What gives us life? Or what kills us or gives us life?
Baruch 4:1.
Come. Anybody got that?
Let me pull that up real quick. The book of Baruch, chapter 4, verse 1. This is the book of the commandments of God, and the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die.
See that? So the law gives us life, right? Choose you this day life and good, death and evil. our people choose death all the time, right? But all we need is 1/3 to continue to choose life, right?
So
let's get verse 6 again.
This is Proverbs chapter 9, verse 6. Forsake the foolish and live, and go in the way of understanding.
Come on.
Verse 7. He that reproveth a scorner getteth to himself shame, and he that rebuketh a wicked man getteth himself a blot.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 8. Reprove not a scorner, lest he hate thee. Rebuke a wise man, and he will love thee.
Right. And ultimately, when we out there teaching, we're not out there to teach to make someone feel bad, even though they drive us to that point where we do got to get on them a little bit, right? Because they're a scorner, right? They're also a scoffer as well, right? But if our people are wise, they're going to hear this rebuke, and then they're going to get that understanding, and ultimately they're going to thank you and love you. Hey, thank you for rebuking me openly, because if it wasn't for you, or the Most High, right, I'd still be in a life of sin. That's what we hope for when we go out there and teach. It don't happen, but sometimes it do, but sometimes it don't. Only way it happens is if they hear the shepherd's voice, and it hearkens and it makes sense to them.
Right? They gotta be
If
a
it
wise
makes sense,
man.
if it makes sense and they hear the voice, they're gonna get it, right? Go ahead.
No, I was just saying they gotta be wise to it too. They gotta have some understanding.
Right. That's right. Our people aren't really, they're sheep. They get that rebuke and they wanna fight you. Right? Yeah, baby, like sis, hey sis, put some clothes on, right? Yashawan, I'd be like, yeah, sis, put some clothes on. She'd be like, nigga, you can't tell me nothing, yada yada yada. Ready to fight.
Right.
Help you out.
That's right.
Yeah, it'd be like that. Where we at? Verse 10.
I think we were at verse 9, King.
Oh, right. One. No,
you good. This is Proverbs chapter 9, verse 9. Give instruction to a wise man, and he will be yet wiser. Teach a just man, and he will increase in learning. Verse 10.
Come on.
The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding.
It says the knowledge of the holy is understanding. These all goes back to how you obey and apply the law to your everyday life. Do you keep the Sabbath day? Are you putting the fringes on? Do you abstain from unclean foods? Do you not worship other gods? All these things are how you apply the law to your everyday life, right? What's that? Let's get Romans 7 and 12, because it said, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding, right? So let's get Romans 7 and 12.
This is the book of Romans chapter 7, verse 12. Wherefore the law is holy, and the commandment holy, and just and good.
And these are the things that's going to ultimately save your life, black man, right? The adultery that you're into, the adultery that you're an adulterer, an adulteress, right? You're entertaining, I think they say women have work husbands, right? That's off as hell. You got a husband at home, and then you got a work husband that your husband don't even know about, right? These things, right? There's no law. There's no law that our people go under. Our people are a lawless group of people. Women entertain a whole bunch of people, right? All these things, right? And then ultimately, what does that mean, right? They're entertaining, or they're fancying other men, right? All right. So it says the law is holy, right? The law is what's holy, right? That's why I said in Proverbs 9 and 10, the fear of the Lord. Let's get Sirach 51. we're gonna close it. We're gonna tie this understanding on two ends, right? So the law is holy, right? And that's the understanding that the bread is. Understanding how to teach these laws. Right? Let's get Sirach 15:1.
Just the book of Sirach, chapter 15, verse 1. He that feareth the Lord will do good, and he that hath the knowledge of the law shall obtain her.
Right. Because the law is good. Right? The law is good. And the fear of the Most High is keeping his laws. People don't fear God, right? So they break his laws. Right? So that's the bread that we're talking about. Right? How do you apply God's law to your everyday life and live? Right? Keep these commandments and what? Live. Keep these commandments and live. Right? All right. So we went through there. We went through Ezekiel 44, right? 1-3, which tells you that the prince is going to. I'm gonna read verse 3 again. It is for the prince. The prince, he shall sit in and eat the bread before the Lord, right? So Yahushua on the scene is going to be that gate that's going to ultimately open, right? The gate was going to be shut until Yahushua's when Yahushua came on the scene. There was no one that we really didn't have access as a nation to the Most High until Yahushua came and cleansed us and purified us and made us clean to come into the presence of his Father. Right? Then it was reopened. That's why Yahushua said what? He says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one can come through the Father but through me. Right? We're going to get that. We're going to get that. That's actually next on my list. All right? So let's get John chapter 10, right? And let's get verse 10.
Just the book of John, chapter 10, verse 10. The thief cometh not, but for to steal and to kill and to destroy.
So this thief that we're talking about is the same thief in verse 1, right? The same thief or the stranger in verse 5, right? That's the thief we're talking about. They're a robber and a thief. So these guys, verse 10, the thief cometh not but for to steal. He's trying to steal the kingdom. He's trying to come in without Yahushua, right? And to kill and to destroy, right? Read on.
I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly.
That they may have life, and that they may have an abundance of life, right? How do we get the life, right? Because we were all dead in sin. Like Paul said, right? I was dead in sin. Now I'm no longer dead in sin. Why? Because Christ died so that my sins can be forgiven, right? That's actually the name, right? The name of Christ is he is salvation, or he is deliverance. All right, let's get Matthew 1:21. And then let's get John 14:6. You got something you want to bring out, Ephraim?
Oh, I was just showing the definition of abundantly, because apparently our people don't know what abundantly means, you know.
Right. Yeah, abundant, right? That's that super abundant, right? That superior implication, excessive, right? Depending on the context, right? Advantages, very highly, beyond measures, over and above, all these definitions, right?
And that all comes from serving the Most High,
Right.
I'm sure every single brother that's with us can vouch for how the Most High has increased them, you know.
Right. Even when it comes to your understanding on this Bible, I remember one time when I first came into the camp, I told Elder Zaquan, I said, man, I learned more in, 3 weeks than I learned in my whole understanding of Christianity.
Me as well. I've been in the Catholic Church, Christian Church, Baptist Church. I mean, you name it, I was in it. As much as I've learned.
Ephraim was in there worshiping Mary, the mother Mary, the mother Mary.
Right.
He had on the
So,
rosaries.
God,
We were doing this.
Ephraim right there, hitting his big toe on the pulpit.
Uh-huh.
All right, so let's get Matthew 121 real quick.
The classic.
This Matthew 121. And she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Yahweh Shai, for he shall save his people from their sins.
You see that? Deliverance, right? So that's how we have that life, right? We were dead. You know how many Sabbaths I've broken, you've broken, we all broke the Sabbath.
Man.
Right? Everything that, like, we've committed sins that was punishable by death, and we ain't even know it. We should have been dead. The Most High should have struck us dead right then and there, right? Then Yahushua comes on the scene, and he died so that we can have life, that the Most High won't kill us. It's very simple. It's very simple, right? We don't got to go into a whole theological breakdown on that, right? It goes right back to what? It goes back to us getting and attaining life so that we're able to live, right? All right, so let's also get John 14:6.
John, this is the book of John, chapter 14, verse 6. Yahweh saith unto him, I am the way, the truth.
Yahweh, hold on real quick. Let's break each word down. He says, I am what?
Yahweh said unto him, I am the way.
So Yahshua brought that scripture out earlier in Matthew 7, right? Broad is the way for destruction, but narrow is the path to the kingdom. Roughly paraphrasing, right? Right? Everybody that's, what's that? I saw something where it said 85% of the people on the earth owns a Bible. Think about this. 85% of the population on earth owns a Bible, right? That's the broad way. That's the wide, broad way, right? No one's able to understand the breakdown on that. They can't go into this understanding. They can't go into this deep breakdown, right? It's just, I just got a Bible, John 3:16, and they put it right back on the shelf, or it's a coaster for their mixed drinks, whatever, right? So Christ, Hamashiach, says, I am the way, right? Yahushua is the way. All this goes back to Yahushua. He's the door, and he's the way to the door. I am the way. Come on.
The truth. And the life. And the life.
And the way, and the life. Yahushua gives us life by his death, right? We're going to get into all this, right? Read on.
No man cometh unto the Father but by me.
What does that make him when he just said right there? Read that part again, Brother Josh.
It said, no man cometh unto the Father but by me.
What does that mean?
What is that? OT onlys, liars.
Right. But ultimately, what does that make Yahushua when he says, no one can come unto the Father but by me?
He's an advocate.
He's the door.
He's the door. There you go. Right? He is the entry. He's the door. You can't get to the Father unless you go through him. But you're right. You're right, Josh. He's also the advocate. He advocates for you to go through the door. He said, you know what? The brother was off, in the early 2000s or the 2010s. That he converted and came into this truth. I'm an advocate for him. Right? Well done, my faithful servant. Right? All right, where we at? Let's get John 10. So he's the way, the truth, and the life. No one could come by the Father but through him, right? And then let's see. Now let's get verse 11.
It's the book of John, chapter 10, verse 11. I am the good shepherd.
Mm-hmm.
The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep.
That's why we went to Matthew 1:21, right? He gave his life for the sheep, right? So let's get two precepts. All right, let's get Hebrews 9:15. Right? Hebrews 9:15. Christ is telling you what, like he has to die for us to live. Right? And you know what? Our people abuse Hamashiach's death. They take it for granted. I'm a sin anyway. I'm a willfully sin, and you can't tell me nothing because my mom's a pastor and my dad's a reverend, and we gonna do what we gonna do, right? Hey, shout out to that brother Shalak, man. He was ready to cut her head off, man. On that Facebook dialogue, man. I was like, not yet, not yet, not yet, because that brother was ready to go in. But ultimately, right? When people say what they say, they put Christ, right? They put Christ right back up on the cross every time they sin, and they do it willfully. I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm a advocate for, what's the girl, Sierra, being at the Grammy, was the Oscars, right, with no clothes. I'm a advocate for that. It's madness. This is madness, right? I'm a Christian, but I'm gonna do it anyway. You're putting Christ back up on the cross, and he has to go through that all the time, every time you sin willfully. And they profess they love the Most High. I love Jesus. Put him through that every single time. You know, that's the problem with our people. Let's get Hebrews 9:15.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 9, verse 15. And for this cause, he is the mediator of the New Testament.
That's the new covenant. So Christ is the mediator, or the advocate, like Brother Josh was saying, for the new covenant. Come on.
That by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament, they which are
So stop
called.
right there. That's a hold on. Stop. It says, for the redemption. What does redeeming mean? Right? Redemption, meaning you're accepted again. For the chance to be accepted again of the transgressions or the sins that were under the first testament. Who was under the first testament? The Israelites. So what Hebrews, right, the author of Hebrews is saying is that Christ had to die so that the Israelites can be redeemed or brought back because of our transgressions pertaining to the first covenant that we broke. Read on.
For the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament, they which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance.
Right. So there's another key word right there, called. We went to Isaiah 45:4. For Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel mine elect, right? I have called thee by thy name, though thou hast not known me. So the called are Israelites, right? Might receive the promise. Who is the promises for? Right? Romans 9.
For Israel.
Romans 9:4.
Mm-hmm.
And even when you go into that last part of an eternal inheritance, it's talking about the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Brothers gonna get the kingdom. We just trying to make sure that we get it. Somebody gonna get this kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
We just trying to make sure that we are able to get it.
Right. And Salakia, that word redemption also, in 9:15. Where else did we hear that from? Go to I pulled it up just now. Right here in Deuteronomy 28, 68. Right? Let me read it. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Right? So when you go into that word buy, so all the way at the bottom, right there, is Quanah.
Strong's H 7069.
Mm-hmm.
Kana.
And that first 1A, redeeming his people.
There you go.
Right? To
Right.
purchase, to redeem. Right? That's the redemption. He's saying that no man's going to be able to buy you but me.
Right.
Right? And that goes over everybody's head. It's crazy.
So is it safe to assume that redemption also is what? Salvation?
Come on.
So, and what is Yahweh Shai's name is? He is salvation.
Mm-hmm.
Someone was bringing this out about how the names, not all of them, but some of these brothers' names, they actually was a prophetic meaning, right? Where Christ's name went with his mission, or what he was on earth to do, which is to save Israel.
Salakia, that's just like Joshua, because Joshua name in the Hebrew would be the same as Yahweh Shah.
God.
And
Right.
and during that time, Joshua was the leader over Israel, and we won many wars, being led by Joshua.
That's right.
Hey, Josh, you ready to go to war again?
All praises, all praises.
God. All right, where we at? I got somebody holding something, right?
You said two precepts. Yeah, you said two precepts, the Hebrews, and then you said another one, but you didn't give it.
Yeah, we had that promises, Romans 9:4. Because remember, Hebrews 9:15 says, and for this cause he is the mediator, right? Or that intercessor, right? That conduit of the New Testament, that by means of death, so he had to die for the redemption of the transgression that were under the first testament. No other nation was under the first testament but the 12 tribes of Israel, right? So meaning that Christ died for the redemption of Israel, right? They which are called, again, Israel, Isaiah 45:4, might receive the promise of eternal inheritance. All right, so let's get 9:4. Romans 9:4.
Khan, this is the book of Romans, chapter 9, verse 4. Who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of God and the promises.
You see that? So that all goes to Israel, right? That's what we call, right, two scriptures that are harmonious with each other, right?
Oh.
All right, so then Hebrews 9:16 says, watch this, for where a is, there must also of necessity, meaning it doesn't work. What does it mean to be necessary?
Be needed.
It's needed, right?
It ain't working without you.
Is, there must also of necessity be the death of the testator, right? So Christ had to die, right, out of necessity.
Salaki, can I get this quick precept?
Come.
Con, let's go into what you saying. This Isaiah 53, and I'm gonna start at verse 5. And for all those who know, Isaiah the 53rd chapter is going into Yahweh. It says, but he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed.
You see that?
Verse 6, it says, all we like sheep have gone astray, just like we was going into before. It says, we have turned every one to his own way, and the Lord have laid on him the iniquity of us all. Like he was going into, like it was necessary for him to be that sacrifice so we can return back to the Most High. Verse 7, He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearers is dumb, so he openeth not his mouth. But that's it on that.
Keep going down to verse
You should go down to verse 9.
8 and 9.
Count verse 8. He was taken from prison and from judgment. And who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken.
Yeah, you see that Christ was stricken, right? He had to bear the sins of Israel, right? That's the death of the testator, right? That sacrifice.
And that go back to that Acts 5 and 30 on down, because like you said, this is possessive. It says, for the transgression of my people was he stricken. So that cut where everybody, them Christians be talking about, well, he died for all of our sins. You guys are liars. You guys are liars.
Right. Right.
The Christians that be on Glenwood, you guys are deceived. He died for everybody.
Hey, she talking directly to you right now, Yashuan.
Yeah, we talk about sweet Jesus, right? Verse 9, it says, and he made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth.
All praises, right? So that suffering servant, right? The suffering servant is a good scripture that goes into the annihilation, not annihilation. I hate to use that word with the king, man, but just the death and burial and resurrection and the purpose of Hamashiach Yahushai, and why he was put to death. Right, that was his lot. That's what he was here to do. Right. So now we can go right back to John 10 and 11, and we can read it with more understanding now. Right. So it says, Yahushua says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. Right. Again, he's sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. All right. Let's get John 10 and 12.
This is the book of John, chapter 10, verse 12. But he that is an hireling and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming, and leaveth the sheep, and fleeth.
Come on.
And the wolf catcheth them, and scattereth the sheep.
So that goes right back to that Jeremiah 23, right? Where these shepherds, these false shepherds, right? They're not going to lay their life down on the line for the sheep. They're going to run. They're going to flee. They see the wolf, and they're going to run. What shepherd is worth a damn when he see a wolf and he run and leave the sheep to get annihilated, right, by the wolves, right? That's your modern day pastors. That's your modern day leaders, right? That's the guys that's telling you how to live, and they're teaching you to break the commandments of God. They say F the law, keep sinning. They're going to run when we get attacked. Right. Remember Joel Osteen, when that damn flood came a couple of years ago, he closed the church doors. He didn't want them Negroes in this multi-million-dollar establishment. All right. They had food, warmth, shelter. They out of the elements. That mega church could have been a place for people to literally have a place of refuge. And he closed them doors and told y'all, don't come here. Right? And this is who we give our money to. Guys like Joe and Creflo Dollar and TD Jakes.
So lucky, but I thought they teaching their congregation that we are equal and God love everybody.
Yeah.
When all hell break loose, they say the hell with y'all. I gotta save myself.
Yeah. I mean, Osteen got enough money. He wasn't that when that came. I think he's out in Texas. I think his congregation's in Texas. He wasn't even there, man. He probably was gone. And he said, y'all not opening these church doors for them niggas. All right. And then the next week, when the flood went away, he passed that collection plate right around. You know, we got to pay for the damages in the church. But when things go bad, like Yahshua said, all hell break loose, that churches ain't even open for you to have refuge. And you got young children, women that's single mothers, right? Young families, and they had to suffer and had them homes flooded out. Right? That's why in verse 12, John 10 and 12, he says, but he that is an hireling, meaning they teach for money. They teach for dollars. They teach for profit. They teach for your dollars, right? But he that is an hireling and not the shepherd, these guys aren't the shepherd of our people. They use the Bible to push their own agenda and to make themselves money. We don't charge for none of this. We take time out of our families, out of our loved ones. We take time from studying to come out here and teach our people for free, right? We're not shepherds of hire, right? Whose own the sheep or not, meaning they don't even belong to our people. A lot of times you'll have an Edomite or a Moabite teaching you. We're not the same. What can the Edomite teach the black man, right? Or what can a so-called Chinese man teach the black man, right, about oppression in America, right? It says, and he fleeth, and the wolf catcheth them and scattereth the sheep, right? Get 13.
Verse 13.
Wait. Let's get Ezekiel 34, 2 through 7. I want to get this real quick. My fault. Ezekiel 34, verse 2.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 34, verse 2. Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy and say unto them, thus saith Yahweh God unto the shepherds, woe be to the shepherds of Israel that do feed themselves. Should not the shepherds feed the flocks?
And what we just talked about with that Joel Osteen example. That's just one of many examples, right? Pastor gets sick, they pass the plate around. Your aunt gets sick at the same congregation, they just say, pray for it. We're going to pray for you, sis. We're going to pray for you, brother. You got the gout. You about to have an amputated foot because you got the gout. We're going to pray. They're not paying no medical bills in them churches. They look out for themselves. Pastor gets sick, the medical bills paid for by the congregation. I guarantee it. You get sick, when one of us gets sick, they're not passing the plate. They're not having a special offering for you to get healed. This is why a lot of times our older people, they start to question the church that they go to because they put decades and decades and decades into serving the pastor. And then when their health deteriorates as they get older, no one's there for them. And then they feel slighted. That's why it says they feed themselves. They take care of them. These pastors take care of themselves. Creflo Dollar got a $65 million jet. And right over there, I think it's off like Electric Avenue, right there in Atlanta. It is ugly out there, right? Read on, verse 3.
Verse 3. Ye eat the fat, and ye clothe you with the wool. Ye kill them that are fed, but ye feed not the flock.
Come on.
The diseased have ye not strengthened,
Come on.
neither have ye healed that which was sick, neither have ye bound up that which was broken, neither have ye brought again that which was driven away, neither have ye sought that which was lost, but with force and with cruelty have ye ruled them.
Come on.
Verse 5. And they were scattered because there is no shepherd, and they became meat to all the beasts of the field when they were scattered.
And that goes right back to those wolves, right? Those same wolves. These guys teach for hire. And then when the wolves come, these dudes bounce. When you going through adversity, now the phone don't work. Now they busy. I'm going through something with my marriage, pastor, right? Either pastor's trying to get with the wife on the low, right? Or he just not available. But if you got a check you want to write, his phone work. When
Hey,
you going through adversity, you figure out who's in your corner. Those that go to, if you on the fence and you watching this video and you don't know if the doctrine of the Bible or the Hebrew Israelite doctrine, if you want to call it that, versus Christianity is for you, look at how the church pastors treat you. Go ahead, King.
No, I was just gonna say it kind of reminds me of when Yahushua came in and he got mad with him for gambling or whatever inside the temple. It's almost
Right.
like they turn a place of worship now into business. It's all over profit and monetary values.
Right. That's right. It's a business.
Mm-hmm.
Big business too. They making good money. These pastors, like, I don't know too many pastors that don't got the best car in the congregation. Don't got the biggest house.
So like that's that 501c3.
Right.
Come.
Dudes is using it and they're not, but you know what they're not doing also? They're not helping the poor in their congregation. Yeah, they'll have a turkey drive. Yeah, they'll have a Christmas, turkey drive or a Thanksgiving turkey drive, but they're not paying bills for the people. It should work that way. If you giving me money, I should be able to come and help you out when you're in a jam. Like pastor shouldn't have a $65 million jet.
Right.
$65 million. You know what that can do to the black community in Atlanta?
Come. Hey, Shalaka, it's almost like when we're out there Saturdays, you got that big church and you got the homeless out front, but they ain't opening the door up, letting them get warm,
Right, exactly. The vintage church, right where we teach, they actually have a sign there saying you can't even sleep here until a certain time. And then we see them every Saturday. When it starts to get dark, them homeless folks start making it to that little spot where they sleep at.
Mm-hmm. And they be trying to attack us like we ain't doing, like we the ones that did it to them.
Right, they mad at us, but that's nothing but a wicked spirit that they got. Right. Let's get verse 6.
Verse 6, my sheep wandered through all the mountains and upon every high hill. Yeah, my flock.
And watch. It said in every high hill and every mountain, which is what? All the nations, all the kingdoms. Mountains represent what? Governors and rulership. So we were going through different captivities. We were going through different places of principalities and municipalities. We were going through all these things that were established, and we still couldn't get help from the so-called leaders of our people. And this even goes not just to the pastors, like I said, it goes to your civil rights leaders, your Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, right, to an extent, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, right? They scattered our people because they didn't teach the laws of the Most High. The platform that Malcolm X had and Martin Luther King had and the Black Panthers had, they taught people how to keep God's law that they said they was fighting for, we would have been gone already. We would have been back in the kingdom. Right? Read on.
Upon every high hill, yeah, my flock was scattered upon all the face of the earth, and none did search or seek after them.
Read on.
Verse 7, therefore, ye shepherds, hear the word of Yahweh.
That's it on that. Right? That's it on that. So understand. Let's go back to John 10 and 12. These guys that are hirelings, they teach for money. They teach for profit, and they teach you lies at the same time. Right? Where we at? 229. All right, read on. Let's get verse 13.
It's the book of John, chapter 10, verse 13. And the hireling fleeteth, because he is a hireling and careth not for the sheep.
They don't even care about the sheep. They don't even care about you. They don't. Read on.
Verse 14.
Mm-hmm.
I am the good shepherd and know my sheep and am known of mine.
You see that? He says, I am the good shepherd and know my sheep and am known of mine. We know Christ because not only is he the good shepherd, but we know Yahweh Shai. Why? Because we know his voice, right?
Oh,
We can hear his voice. And it's like we're like those baby zebras, those baby sheep. When our mother or our father call, we come home, right? We listen out for the voice of our elders, right? Which is Yahweh Shai. This is Ezekiel 34:11. For thus saith the Most High God, behold, I, even I, will both search my sheep and seek them out. That was Ezekiel 34:11. I'm going to read it again. It says, well, let me start at verse 9. Therefore, O ye shepherds, hear the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Most High God, behold, I am against the shepherds, and I will require my flock at their hand. Meaning, what they're doing, like we got, like these wicked pastors, they got to pay for that, right? And cause them to cease from feeding the flock. Neither shall the shepherds feed themselves anymore, for I will deliver my flock from their mouth, and they may not be meat for them. Verse 11, for thus saith the Most High God, behold, I, even I, will both search my sheep and seek them out. Verse 12 says, as a shepherd seeketh out his flock, in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered, so will I seek out my sheep, and I will deliver them out of all places where they have been scattered in the cloudy and dark day. 13, and I will bring them out from the people and gather them from the countries. That's because we're scattered. And will bring them to their own land and feed them upon the mountains of Israel, the kingdom of Israel, right? By the rivers and in all inhabited places of the country. All right. All right, where we at? John 10 and 15. We're gonna close it out in these next few, and that'll be it. Let's get John 10 and 15.
it's the book of John, chapter 10, verse 15. As the Father knoweth me, even so I the Father, and I lay
Mm-hmm.
down my life for the sheep. Verse 16. And other sheep
Mm-hmm.
I have, which are not of this fold. Them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd.
It says they're gonna be one fold and one shepherd. Who are the other sheep? Because Pastor Pork Chop or whoever, they may say that's for everybody now. See that? You 12 tribes, keep reading. Y'all Israelites don't ever like to keep reading. Who are the other sheep?
Are they talking about the northern kingdom?
Northern Kingdom, right? Let's prove it. We don't just say things at this camp, right? We're gonna prove it.
Ezekiel 37:16. I'm just trying to get it, damn it.
All right, so let's do this, right? Because you there. Let's get Ezekiel 37 and 16. Let's actually get let's get 19. Hold up. Yeah, 19. Let's get 19. And then we're gonna read down to 24.
Con. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 37, verse 19. Say unto them, thus saith Yahweh, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph,
Mm-hmm.
which is in the hand of Ephraim.
So if you don't know what's going on, right, the stick of Joseph or in the hand of Ephraim is what you would call the northern kingdom. The northern kingdom. After there was a split, after King Solomon died, right, the kingdom of Israel split. 10 tribes went up north, and then 3 tribes stayed down south. Right, they stayed. That's the kingdom of Judah. The kingdom of Ephraim, or the northern kingdom, is the same as saying Joseph or Ephraim. All right, read on.
Which is in the hand of Ephraim,
Uh-huh.
and the tribes of Israel his fellows, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand.
Come on.
And the sticks whereon thou writest shall be in thine hand before their eyes,
Uh-huh.
and say unto them, Thus saith Yahweh, Behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land.
So the Most High is going to take us from being scattered, all 12 tribes, no matter where you at, right? You're going to be scattered. You're going to be taken abroad. This is thousands of years ago this prophecy was written, right? You can only imagine the amount of scattering that has happened, right? And he's going to bring us into our own land, right? Read on.
And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all. And they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms any more at all.
Read on.
Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions, but I will save them out of all their dwelling places, wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their God.
Right. And so how do we become cleansed? By the death of Yahweh Shai. Right? Yahweh Shai's death allows us to be cleansed so that we can be called the people of the Most High God again. Right? Because our transgressions made us dirty. Right? Our dirty garments, right? That we talk about. Right? But I will save them out of their dwelling places, right? Which is Yahweh Shai's name is? Salvation. He is salvation. He will save, right? So we're talking about Yahweh Shai being able to be that person, right, by his death for us to be cleansed so that we can come right back to the fold of the Most High God and be his people again, right? Verse 24.
And David, my servant, shall be king over them.
And this is when you get your non-messianics. They'll say, see that? That's going to be King David, right? They don't understand that this is the Savior, the Messiah, is going to come from the lineage of David, right? It's not going to say Yahweh Shai in the Old Testament because he wasn't born yet, right?
Salakia, that's a dark saying.
Right. You go.
People they don't get it.
Yep. Read on.
And David, my servant, shall be king over them, and they all shall have one shepherd. They shall also walk in my judgments, and observe my statutes, and do them.
Right? So that's that shepherd, right? The shepherd has to die ultimately for us to become the Most High sheep again, and then he's going to, of course, come back and be our shepherd again. Talking about Yahweh Shai. It's the second coming. He's going to be our shepherd. He's going to unite the two nations, one, he's going to make two kingdoms into one nation, the kingdom of Ephraim and the kingdom of Judah, right?
So I got another precept on that too.
Come, bring it out.
This the book of Second Esdras, chapter 13, and I'm gonna start at verse 33. And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another, and an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou sawest them willing to come and to overcome him by fighting. But he shall stand up upon the top of the Mount Zion, and Zion shall come and shall be shewed to all men, being prepared and builded like as thou sawest the hill graven without hands. And this my son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into the tempest, and shall lay before them their evil thoughts, and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a flame, and he shall destroy them without labor by the law, which is like unto fire. And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Shalmaneser the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. So that's just going into Yahushua bringing back the northern and the southern kingdom into one nation, or into one kingdom again.
That's right.
When you go into that second address, we're going to the eagle, and then Yahushua being that lion. When you read it, the whole chapter.
Come. This is Hosea 1:10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered, nor measured, nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not people, there it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God. Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel, northern kingdom, southern kingdom, be gathered together and appoint themselves one head, and they shall come up out of the land, for great will be the day. Right, and that just goes right back to what Yahshua was going into, and again, that also goes back into John 10:16 about other sheep I have which are not of this fold. Them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd. Right. Even when you go on to Romans, the 9th chapter and the 23rd verse, let me get that real quick. All right, let me get Romans 9:23. All right. And this is why biblical history is important when it comes to understanding the doctrine of the Bible, is because you just read it and say, oh, that's for everybody, right? But no, there's historical context that has to take place. Right, this is Romans 9:23, and that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy, which he had afore prepared unto glory, even us, whom he hath called not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles, right? As he hath said also in Hosea, I will call them my people, which are not my people, and her beloved, which was not my beloved. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the living God. Right. So those other sheep that he has, right, that's not mentioned, right, in John 10:16, he's talking about the northern kingdom, and also there's southern kingdom Israelites that was scattered as well. Right. We always go into the northern kingdom that was scattered, but you also had southern kingdom Israelites that was in Rome, that was in Ephesus, that was in Philippi. They was all over, right? It was in Egypt.
Thessalonica.
All right. Yeah, Thessalonica. Yep, that's right. And that's why Paul's letter had to get the gospel out to the Israelites that was scattered. All right. So let's finish this out, and then that should be it. Let's get John 10:17.
This is the book of John, chapter 10, verse 17. Therefore doth my Father love me, because I lay down my life, that I might take it again.
Read on.
This is the verse 16. No man taketh it from me, but I lay it down of myself. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it again. This commandment have I received of my Father.
Right. And even when you go into the Torah, right, you lay your life down for your brother. You lay your life down for your brother. That goes back to the law. That's the commandment that the Most High gave to all Israelites, including Yahushua. Right? You know?
Verse 19. There was a division therefore again among the Jews for these sayings. Verse 20. And many of them said, he hath a devil and is mad. Why hear ye him? Verse 21.
Mm-hmm.
Others said, these are not the words of him that hath a devil. Can a devil open the eyes of the blind?
Right. So you see that? So that last part is important, right? Read that last part again, that last sentence.
Come on. This is John chapter 10, verse 21. Others say, these are not the words of him that hath a devil. Can a devil open the eyes of the blind?
So what does that make there was a division, all right? You have a division between, they were talking about this. Some was against Yahushua, and they said he got a devil on him. He's a deceiver. But then verse 21, some said, hey, but how's he opening the eyes of the blind? Like Christ was literally giving sight to the blind, but he was also spiritually giving sight to the blind as well. That means that the people in verse 21 were the sheep that voice of Yahushua.
So like I got a
Go ahead.
I got a precept that go right along with that.
Huh?
This another account that's similar. This Matthew chapter 12 verse 22. It says, then was brought unto him one possessed with a devil, blind and dumb, and he healed him, insomuch that the blind and dumb both spake and saw. And all the people were amazed and said, is not this the son of David? But when the Pharisees heard it, they said, this fellow doth not cast out devils, but by Beelzebub, the prince of the devils. And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? And if I by Beelzebub cast out devils, by whom do your children cast them out? Therefore they shall be your judges. But if I cast out devils by the Spirit of God, then the kingdom of God is come unto you. And that's it on that.
And ultimately that goes into the people that rock with Yahushua, they rocked with him. That means that they were the sheep that heard his voice. Right? And you have, right?
Hey, Shalakia, King, can I bring this precept out right quick?
Come on, bring it up.
Hey, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 11. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manners of evil against you falsely for my sake. And at the beginning of that precept, he said, blessed are ye. And this is almost like a spiritual thing. If you're following this truth and you're trying to uphold these commandments and definitely trying to spread it out to people, me, myself, personally, I feel like I'm going through this right now with different people. It says, blessed are ye when people try to persecute you and say all kind of falsely things about you. It's almost like a sign saying you're on the right track. You're doing the right thing, because now you're trying to spread the word of the Hamashiach, of the Messiah. And now people are coming out of all different angles and all in your life, your so-called friends and family. They're persecuting you for just simply trying to keep the commandments and spreading the words of the scriptures, spreading the commandments and the holy gospel. It's kind of proof, man, that you're on the right path, because they persecuted Yahushua, and now they're going to persecute you, coming from all different angles. And it's almost like a spiritual thing. It should be a sign saying we're on the right track, because when you're out in the world and you're doing all kind of sin and wickedness, it seems like you got a million friends. Everybody's cool with you. But once you start trying to uphold these commandments, once you really start trying to walk that fine line, it's like everybody falls out of line with you and everybody persecutes you.
Right. That's right. And Zephaniah had a precept earlier. I'm just going through the chat now. Shalom to the people in the room or that's watching and listening. He went to Revelation 3:20, and it's going to go right to what you were saying in verse 21. Verse 20 says, behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, meaning access to Yahushua, I will come into him and will sup with him and he with me. Right? So if we seek Yahushua, right, then he's going to definitely, he's going to work with us, right? He's going to be there for us. Right? I'm going to read it again. Behold, I stand at the door. Yahushua is the door, right? And knock, meaning I inquire, right? If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him and he with me. Verse 21. This is for you, Josh. It says, he to him that overcometh will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame and am set down with my Father in his throne. Right? So this goes back to endurance, right? Can you endure in this thing? And you're going to take shots. And this is why I said, man, it's being an Israelite and doing this work. It ain't for like, it ain't the cool thing to do if you trying to go back into the world. It ain't like, getting money. When brothers is getting money, that was the cool thing to do. And there was a lot of stuff that you got immediately for making money. You got a job, right? You go out there and you got your own business and you see the fruits of your labor. That's cool, right? That's something that everybody wants to do. But what we do is we're building up our kingdom now by being obedient to our Father. And you just don't see other nations, right, lining up to do this. It takes Israelites and Israelites only to want to do the work of the Lord, right? So, at the end of the day, we got to overcome, right? We got to endure. We got to keep doing this thing to the day we die. You know what I'm saying? So that we can become acceptable to the Father.
All praises.
All praise to the Most High, man. Anybody got anything they want to add before we shut it down?
Oh, Salagi, I had put up a list of all the religious or the religions around the world, and just a breakdown on, all 7 or 8 billion people in the world that are following these religions, and of course, the top religion on there is, Christianity, and 2.3 billion. Right. And I know that came down a lot because a lot of people have been leaving the church. Right. And it's just showing you, like, how is this the straight way? Right. The STRAIT way. Right. How is this the straight way?
Hey, Salah, what is that? Is that Satan? I can't see because the screen's small. Do one of them say Satanism
Oh,
at the
No,
when you go down?
it's Sikhs.
yeah. Sikhism.
That's
That's
those like that's
Oh,
the turban wearers. The ones
oh,
with
okay. I
the
thought.
unruly
Okay, I
beard.
could. Yeah, I couldn't see. I thought it said Satan. I was finna say, damn.
I mean, that's in there too. That you might as well put that right here with Christianity.
That's what I was finna say. I was finna say, damn, that's the same thing.
Uh-huh.
That's number 3 on the list.
Secular,
Satanism is number 3.
atheist.
Yeah, there you go.
Atheist. Damn.
There you go.
agnostic. Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, that's not that an atheist doesn't believe in God, period. Right?
Mhm.
A Satanist believes God is that devil, the devil with red horns and all that shit is his God. So
Yeah.
I don't even think they fall into that atheist.
They got 14 million Jews. You can't get 144,000.
Seriously.
You can't get 144,000 out of that.
That shit don't even make no sense.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
praise to the Most High. Hey man, listen, man. Hopefully this was edifying. We're gonna pick up part 2. Most High willing next Wednesday. Wait, what date is next Wednesday? Is that
That is the 22nd,
so we might have to push that back to the following week because we got new moon.
29th.
Yeah, I just thought about that. The 22nd. Or maybe we can go Tuesday night. Maybe we could do it a Tuesday night so that way we can.
Yeah. I mean, we'll work it out because we don't. If we, if we ain't got nothing going on, then we could just come back on here for the new moon.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a mighty lesson though, Ken.
Hey, all praises to the Most High, man. Hopefully y'all found this enjoyable. Take your notes, study these things. At the end of the day, we're gonna go ahead and sign off. We're right at the 3-hour mark. Again, hopefully this is edifying. Again, I'll just recap what we went through. We went through the door, right? We went through the Hebrew language of the door, right? Even we went through the understanding of how to get into the kingdom of heaven, what access you have to go to get there. The shepherds and these thieves that ultimately teach our people how not to do the work of the Lord and do their own thing. Man, I was watching something. There's a TV show on Netflix called The Crown, and this pastor, I guess the queen, right, was in church, and the pastor pulled Colossians 1:27, and it says, matter of fact, let's get it real quick before we leave, because I forgot to bring this out. This was hilarious. I said this is the exact example of what we talk about. This is Colossians 1:27. It says, to whom God would make known what is the riches of the glory of this mystery among the Gentiles, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. Right? And the guy was like, yeah, you gotta, so that means to have a personal relationship with God. This is what the pastor was talking about. And I was like, man, they just take these scriptures and twist it up, right? Take these scriptures and twist it up. So we're gonna go back around through the panel as we sign off. I started off. I'm Brother Ra'am.
Shalom, this brother Yahshua Ban Yahawada.
Hey, Shalom, this brother Joshua Bungad.
Hey, Shalom family. This is brother Ephraim, and I'm gonna finish this off with some Road to Chef.
Kwam Yasha'Allah. Love y'all, Israel. All praises.
All praises.
All right, Ephraim, get us up out of here, man.
But can we listen to some fire beats before we go? Can we appreciate Road to Chef real quick?
Shout out to Drewski.
Hey,
Drewski,
shout out to Shu for throwing this, in the mix, because I would have never known about this if it wasn't for Shu.
Hey, yo, they counted me out. I started counting up. I'm no pretender. 12 tribe representative from summer to winter. Let me say that back again. I'm the sum of the winners. Got the game locked like your favorite defenders.